Hello, guys. How is everyone? Hi, Toby. How are you? Thank you very much for explaining to me how to use this whole Streamlabs OBS. Now, in a minute, I'm going to pull on my friend Lucy, and we're going to get into a stream, and we're going to talk a bit about what having a cleft lip and palate is, and loads of other really cool things. So I'll just open it up now, and 3, 2, 1. Hello, Lucy. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
You need to move. You need to move sideways. That's good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you guys know, it's Cleft Lip and Palate Awareness Week, and obviously Will and I have met through working with a charity called Clapper, and so we decided to do a little Q&A just to talk a bit about what having a cleft is, what our experiences are with having a cleft, and just raising awareness during Awareness Week. So that's kind of thing I thought we could talk about, and questions that we've had from previous live streams is what cleft do you have and how many operations that's come with. So I have a unilateral cleft lip and palate on my left side, and I've had around 7 operations for that. So 4 major operations, 3 minor ones, spanning over the last 16 years. And yeah, Will, what about you?
So I was born with a unilateral cleft lip and palate as well. And I've had 4 operations, I think. My first one was obviously the lip repair. Second one was the palate repair. My third one was my bone graft, and my fourth one was it wasn't really an operation, but I did like kind of have an anesthetic and everything, so I'm going to class it as an operation. I had like the the chain, which it goes into your mouth, and then that was used to pull down a tooth, because it connects to my brace, and then
Yeah, so I had a lip repair, then palate repair, so just like after I was born, and then I had to have my palate re-repaired when I was 4 because it came undone. Then I had my bone graft when I was 10, and then after that I've had 3 separate orthodontic surgeries, so having a chain put in, having like teeth moved around because I had quite an issue with my front tooth where it was actually sideways, so they had to do quite a few orthodontic treatments for that, and obviously having stuff like braces and everything still under orthodontic treatment for that. So yeah, when did you first get involved with CYPC? How did that come about? What has that kind of done for you?
So I got involved with the CYPC 3 years ago. It was like 3 years ago, like 2 weeks ago. And I think it was because I'd kind of done my cleft lip palate assembly at school, which some people know about if they're watching now, and because it's on my YouTube channel, and I think most of the people watching are probably from my school. But yeah, I then got involved with the CYPC in that way because I thought that'd be something that I'd be interested in, to actually, instead of just voicing it to my school, but to voicing it to Clapper and how they could help. And obviously they do a lot, so I thought that'd be really nice. But I've been involved with Clapper for a number of years because we've done like charity events and stuff for them in the past. What about you, Lucy?
Yeah, so obviously I've known about Clapper my whole life. Obviously my parents were supported by Clapper when I was younger. But I joined the CYPC just under a year ago now. So I actually joined on the 18th of May. So that'll be in a week or so, like my anniversary of being on CYPC. But it came about that I knew that there was a council around, and I'd heard about it before through previous stuff I'd done with Clapper, but I was finally like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to join this group. And I'd done an assembly for this week last year in front of my year group at school, and that was just a really great experience to share with everyone when I finally got there and meet such a great community of people. But obviously I'd been involved with Clappers from a young age. I went to lots of kind of Christmas parties when I was younger. I met people through that, not necessarily aware that's why I was there. But then I also did fundraising when I was 10, a few weeks before my bone graft for Clapper as well, because I'd been supported by them a lot when I was younger. So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved with the CYPC. So what would you say the hardest part about having a cleft is?
I think for me, self-conscious, like me feeling like self-conscious about it. because sometimes I'll think, oh, do I look different to other people and stuff. And I think that's probably the hardest part, because I've been pretty good like with bullying and stuff, but I haven't really had any bullying. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part. But I'm kind of, I don't, it doesn't really affect me too much. But I think if that was to be anything, it'd probably be that. What about you? By the way, are you seen all these comments in the chat saying that you've got a better mic?
No, I'm not.
No,
have I got a better mic? Well, it'll be because I have AirPods and Will doesn't.
I know. I've already put that.
Oh yeah, my mic quality is better than yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got AirPods. Haha. Yes, I do. The hardest part for me about having cleft it's a mix of probably two things. Obviously, I was bullied not for long, but for a bit when I was moving into secondary school, which was a bit difficult. Obviously, it's something you can't change about yourself, so it's quite hard to deal with. But also missing so much time out of school, like all through my education. So from primary school all the way to now, I still have to miss valuable time at school that I could need. So my grades did take a dip in subjects I knew I was missing out on because of going to treatment and things. But yeah, that's probably the hardest part. Although obviously that kind of eases off as you get a bit older, but we could probably talk about that in a bit. So let's flip that on its head and talk about what is the best thing about having a cleft. What is something you would really miss if you say didn't have a cleft?
Well, I think, obviously we're part of the CYPC, and it's incredible to see everyone and, all our friends and stuff. And I think that's obviously something I wouldn't be part of if I didn't have a cleft. And I think, it's really nice to be able to produce this kind of like content that I do produce, where I'm talking about having a cleft, because, I like to think it helps people. And I have had some private messages and stuff saying, I had one yesterday saying that it was really nice that I did that CYPC interview, and that's something that, is really nice to hear that I'm actually doing something. And obviously, if I didn't have a cleft, I wouldn't really be able to sympathise with people who do. So yeah, and I think it makes me different in a really nice way, because it separates me from the crowd in most of the time a nice way. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's quite similar with me. I absolutely love the fact that my experiences, whether they've been good or bad, I've learned things from them that I can take away also into normal life, but also use to help other people. So being able to raise awareness this awareness week, and having done the interviews for Clapper, has been really, really lovely, as well as using my platform on the CYPC to do things, and also meeting people through that's given me the confidence to then go and talk about it outside of Clapper. So I obviously did a... Oh, I can hear myself now, Will.
Yeah, sorry, I was just... Sorry.
Yeah, that actually scared me for a minute. Yeah, I was able to talk in front of my year group about it last year. I did assemblies for the lower years at my school for World Smile Day in October. And yeah, it's just been really lovely to be able to have that confidence to speak about something that not everyone can relate to, but there's a message in it that everyone else can take away into their life, and also raise awareness of something that I really care about. So what is your most memorable experience, whether that be something you've done with the CYPC or a certain treatment, or one thing that kind of springs to mind when people ask you about your experience with having a cleft?
Probably my bone graft, I'd say, is the most memorable experience within like an operation kind of thing. And also that kind of started my kind of journey with the CYPC. And, I did my kind of documentary type video about having a cleft when I was actually having the operation. And I feel like if I hadn't have had that operation, then it wouldn't have made me kind of not who I am, but it wouldn't have made the things that I do now. So, I think that'd probably be the thing that kind of set most of the other things off, which was good.
Yeah, I have like one thing that really comes to mind when I talk about like my experience with having a cleft was when I was 10. and obviously every 5 years you have a review under the care of the team that you've been with, your like the Cleft team in your local area, and obviously you have checks done on your speech and your ability to hear and your obviously orthodontic work, because those are all things that are affected by having a cleft. Obviously that varies in people, but I'd had speech therapy from the ages of 5-10, and I remember going to this review, and the speech therapist there obviously recorded all my speech to put in the records and everything, and I can like still remember I was sat there with my mum, and she said, "Oh, your speech is so good, you wouldn't be able to tell you had a cleft," and that has stuck with me like since then, because it's something that you've worked so hard for and it finally pays off like 5 years in the future, and that message has stuck with me 6-7 years on, and I think will continue to stick with me. So that's something that obviously is an experience you can take away from having a cleft, but it's also something that makes all of kind of your other experiences worth it. Do you have any plans for future treatment?
For me, I'm really not sure. Like, obviously, I've thought about having other operations because it's something that would naturally spring to mind. Is do I think I need it, and would I like it? And you have to actually have a proper almost like a discussion with yourself, thinking what are the pros of it and what are the cons of it. The only one that I could think of having, and it'd have to depend how I am in the future and how obviously what my face looks like in the future. But that'd be the only one I think of, is having a jaw surgery, because it just depends what my jaw looks like. But at the same time, you do see some things on like the Facebook groups, and then you think that seems quite a lot. So I'm really not sure. But what about you?
Yeah, I'm about the same. Obviously, last year I had, again, my 15-year review, and I was speaking to my surgeon, and he was like, "I don't think you'll need any more surgery," which obviously is something that is a relief to hear, because you don't really want to go through that experience again. But recently, at one of my orthodontic appointments, my orthodontist was like, "If you ever want to ask questions, that opportunity is always there." And obviously jaw surgery is something that gets put forward to you, or having your nose like operated on your lips or whatever, if you feel uncomfortable about the way you look. And I think that's a really good opportunity to have for people who are more self-conscious about the way they look. But I'm quite lucky in that I don't have any issues with the way I look. I think all the treatment I've had thus far has been brilliant, and I'm actually quite happy with the way I look. So I haven't really looked into jaw surgery, although that is something I could maybe do and see how much of a difference that would make. But obviously it's something that takes a lot of discussion, it takes a lot of research, and it's a very big decision to make. So for me, I don't think there is any on the cards at the moment, but we will just have to see.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, those are all the questions that we were given in last kind of live stream. But I was also going to say, so why do you want to take this time in Awareness Week to talk about cleft? Why do you think it's important to raise awareness of it?
Well, I think lots of people don't understand what a cleft lip is, and like I was saying this to you a few days ago, but you still do hear people say like hair lip and stuff. And personally, I don't think it's not the right way to say it and stuff. And I think that most people genuinely don't know like that is, that some people get offended by that and stuff. So I think that's one thing, is to kind of make a cleft lip known, and that it's that is what it's called. But then also that we're not any different to anyone, because there will always be that person that's like I know I've once had messages just saying, "Oh, cleft lip boy" and stuff like that. And I know that's not like the worst of things to say, but it kind of sometimes it makes you think, well, what does actually make me different? Because when I was born, I didn't think, oh, do you know what, I really want to be different to everyone else, and I don't want to be different to anyone else. I'm very happy with having a cleft, but I don't want to be treated differently to anyone because we are actually all the same. So. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's something I think I kind of touched on when in the interview that we did with Clapper, and it was kind of a thing that my cleft is a part of me, but it doesn't define who I am. So obviously the term hair lip is also quite commonly used, and I was talking about this the other day, and I remember hearing somewhere that it had something to do with some kind of medicine that they used in like the 16th century, and I looked it up, and it's actually that it was believed in the Dark Ages that a witch would take the shape of a hare, and if a pregnant woman was scared by a hare, then the child would have a birthmark resembling that of a hare, and obviously hares have kind of a gap in between their nose and their lip, so that's why it's called a hair lip, and that's quite a lot of people find that offensive or just not the right term to use. So cleft lip is obviously much better to use, and I prefer using the term cleft lip. So that's also a reason why you want to make awareness of Cleft Lip and Palate Awareness Week rather than hair lip or whatever else. But yeah, it's important to speak about something that is very, very personal to a lot of people and use your confidence and platform that you've built up over many years to help grow confidence in others. So there are lots of young people and even adults all over the UK who worry or struggle with self-confidence because of it, and it's really important, I think, to be able to share our experiences and our positive messages of it to give other people that confidence too.
Right, is that back? Right, that is back. There we go. Right, can you hear me? Can you hear me? No. Okay. Right. Oh no.
I can.
Right, that should be sorted. And now, wait, speak.
Hello.
Yeah, sorted. Okay, and we're coming back online.
How much now?
There we go, guys. We're back online. Sorry about that. Pretty much, my headphones died, so that was unhelpful.
That's why it all stopped working.
Or I think something like that happened because since we're running Skype and the streaming, it confused the whole thing, and then they somehow died. But anyway, back on with what you were saying. So I'm
Yeah,
it's just about using your own experiences to help people through theirs, I guess. Just being able to give a positive spin on having a cleft, because for quite a few people, especially when you're younger, you don't have an understanding of it, and
that makes it very difficult.
so trying to be able to explain to people that it does get better, you do get a better understanding of it. There is a massive community out there to support people. It's helpful to them, and I think that's why most of us do what we do in Awareness Week, to help other people who are probably struggling in the same way we once did. So yeah, there is a fly in my room, and I don't know where it went.
But yeah, I completely agree. Now I know we've only got one viewer at the minute. Oh, we've now got 0 viewers. But if you would like to comment any questions, feel free. We've got 8 minutes left of the stream, which we're actually going to run. We're going to keep it a short half-an-hour stream, although we might end up just leaving it 20 minutes since we've not got any more questions and no one else is watching. But I think, personally, this has been quite successful. Again, it was just a kind of test stream. We now know how to do it and stuff, so we will hopefully do this in the future. But yeah, right, so no one's watching. So I'm going to say that's going to be the end of the stream, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Right,